can we engage the Trout Unlimited program? This is Trout in the Classroom, and I have to say, New York was a huge player in this. I really value that because New York was well organized in the TU Trout in the Classroom program, and the social networks of science educators sprang into action. We did very little outreach here, but when we posted our videos online and said, school kids, anglers, citizen scientists, count these fish, they did. In just a few months, we had over 3,000 counts by hundreds of individuals across the nation. So basically, I won't show you these results, but I'll just mention that from all of those crowdsourced counts, we can see distributions on each one of these pools. We can estimate adult abundance with a known mean and variance. So we can use that for analytical work. So I think the proof of concept is good. We have a paper and review on this now. I think that the methods are becoming more and more feasible, which opens the door to us. But it does more than just get big data for us. These kids were paying attention. I know, look, there's a nature deficit disorder. And what's my solution? My solution is to strap a cell phone to every kid's head. That's a pretty weird idea, okay? But it sparks imagination. We know this. Look, I would take kids from Queens, Bronx, Harlem, out to Shenandoah National Park and we would snorkel, if I could. But I can't. What we can do is provide them an underwater experience in their classroom, and all boroughs, by the way, in New York City were involved in this. I love that. So, looking ahead, here's something that I want you to think about. And this is a project that I'm developing right now with USGS colleagues in Denver. What's the capacity for artificial intelligence of individual fish? We already know that machine learning and AI can detect species with decent accuracy. What is the capacity for individual fish detection through AI? This is a testable question. For some species, we expect it to be very low, right? Individual mark, like walleye. There's not enough individual markings, bars, patterns to even have a decent chance of seeing individual IDs. But for brook trout, for other salmonids, for smallmouth bass, individual marks are known to be diagnostic. So we are very interested in this, and we'll be testing this with some collections in the Stream Lab, etc. But the premise is this: if we can identify individual fish from imagery, then we can engage anglers and citizen scientists everywhere to participate in basically population assessment. We could treat it as a mark recapture study. Granted, with a very low recap rate, but they all have low recap rates. So what we want to do right now is to estimate the accuracy rate for AI detection of individual fish, and then we want to roll that up into a population estimate and ask the fundamental question: is it useful? Is it potentially useful? And I like to hold out some hope here. These AI models are getting very good. Anybody with an iPhone knows, yeah, it's a little creepy. You open it with your face. So I think what we're developing here, you've heard of facial recognition. This is facial recognition. That's official. That's what I want to stay tuned for. Let me just, if we have a couple of seconds left. Who knows if this will work? Usually this kind of does not work. Cannot, okay, whatever. Simulator, and basically what this will do is it'll show you an example of 360 underwater imagery. Gives you an idea of the potential there. So what I've tried to do is give you an overall perspective of what we're doing in our lab that factors into this fundamental unifying framework for climate change, resiliency, and vulnerability. Exposure, sensitivity, adaptive capacity. We can see that some of the things we've learned a lot about. There's obviously a huge amount of new work that's needed, but I think it's exciting because these pieces come together, and when we think about the future, there's an immense amount of potential there. We know the scale of data we need, big. We also know that there is an army of willing and ready volunteers. It's up to us to make those connections. With that, I'll thank you for your time and take any questions if we have time.